Everybody could hear me okay. Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. I just wanted to put together a quick live stream, so hopefully it's an entirely new format for this channel. We've tried one live stream for Meatball's birthday and it seemed to work pretty well. We've gotten a decent amount of people and conversation going, so I decided to try it again because we have been crazy busy with our real estate market literally being on fire. On top of it, the parade of homes just came and went, and that added a little bit more to our plate as we normally film all of the parade houses so that you guys can enjoy them here. Hi Carrie, how are you? So as all of the parade houses are being edited, we are a little bit over capacity for adding more editing projects. So I decided to just do this real estate market update live because I made a commitment earlier, I think it was a couple of years ago, that every month I provide real live market data on this channel so that you're able to hopefully use that data as a buyer or seller and then benefit from using that data, because knowing the numbers and seeing how quickly things are selling and what exactly you should pay to purchase a house should hopefully give you the right ammunition to purchase a home right here in southern Utah. So with that being said, let's take a look at some of the numbers, and then shortly after that we could do a little Q&A. And throughout this process, if you guys have any questions, anybody that's just tuning in or watching, if you have any questions that are specific or more specific to your situation, I'm happy to hopefully point you in the right direction or give you some answers live. And I don't know, we'll see where it goes. Also, I always appreciate your feedback if you like market updates in this format, or if you would rather prefer for things to be more structured, kind of like what we've done in the past, so that you could skip forward to a specific section or rewind it. And of course, you could do that with this live stream later as well, since it will be uploaded to YouTube as a regular video. But anyway, I'm curious to see how you guys feel about the live stream format. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you find it just as helpful? Is it helping you make your next real estate decision, or would you rather just have a regular video upload? Let me know in the comments. I would appreciate that. So let's take a look and see what exactly happened here in Washington County from a sales perspective in January of 2021. So January is in the books. It is February 23rd right now, so we're getting close to the end of this month as well. And normally I like to start looking at the numbers from an absorption standpoint. So in real estate, for those of you that haven't been seeing these videos before, absorption is a number that refers to the overall availability of houses. So in a grand total, how many months would it take to sell through all current inventory, presuming no new listings are hitting the market? In January of 21, we hit an all-time low of 0.8 months, so less than 1 month supply. And if we look at the graph, I wish I could bring that on screen, but if we look at the graph looking from January of 2020, exactly a year ago, we were at 3.3 months supply of inventory. So the graph is just going straight down as we're seeing fewer homes hit the market and more homes go under contract. This January, we saw a total of just 396 active listings and a total of 413 new listings. So to compare things to January of 2020, in January of 2020, we saw 1,192 listings, which is pretty much a 70% decline year over year in the total number of available listings. And the total number of new listings, we saw 678 in January of 2020 versus 413 January of 2021. So one of the things that we're kind of starting to see with listings is a lot of sellers are becoming more reluctant, because if they sell high, they would ultimately also have to buy high. So we're starting to see fewer people that are seeing a route for an upgrade, or, even though the market is doing really well right now and the interest rates are so low, fewer people are able to realize the opportunity of upgrading to a bigger and better home, just because the prices across the board are increasing. So if they sell high, they also have to buy high. But with that being said, there's still a decent amount of people that are taking advantage of this market. And most of the listings that Michon and I put on the market end up going under contract in less than 10 days. So current median combined days on the market is about 10 days. And speaking of Michon, she was going to join me on this live stream, but this morning she had undergone a surgery on her foot. It wasn't anything major, or so at least it didn't seem major. And from everything that she'd seen on Dr. Pimple Popper, it wasn't supposed to be anything crazy, but she had a little cyst on one of her toes, and that more or less ended up knocking her out for the rest of the day today. So it's just myself, and Michon has to have her feet elevated on a couch. But anyway, getting back to the numbers, if you're considering, Carrie, thank you for your feedback. I'm glad that you're liking the live format of this video. So for those of you that are considering selling your Southern Utah home right now, a couple of things you could expect. You could expect for it to sell in about 10 days or possibly fewer. Usually within the first week on the market, you would see multiple offers, and it sounds like it's a very exciting time to sell. However, there are a couple of important things to consider. The shortage of inventory is creating a little bit of a buyer frenzy, and sometimes it seems like in some scenarios, people get desperate and they're happy to buy something just to have it, which creates almost like a panic buying scenario. Remember just a few months ago when everybody was stocking up on toilet paper, seems like real estate markets across the country are starting to see that as well. Part of that stress could be associated with some of the investment strategies. We're starting to see more and more people buy investments rather than primary residences, just because they feel that their cash is safer in real estate versus other investment strategies that have a little bit more volatility and things are less certain. So a lot of people are buying stuff just to buy it. But what that creates to the sellers is that there are sellers that receive multiple offers, and we've had that happen on multiple of our listings, where you receive multiple offers, but all of those buyers that made the offer on your listing are also making offers on multiple other listings, often not realizing that if it's a financing offer, each time an offer gets accepted, it starts a clock for about a 30-day process involving the lender, title, sellers, and a whole bunch of people, an entire team of people are on a hook. So as a seller, you want to have your real estate agent have the proper conversation with any potential buyers to make sure that whoever commits to purchasing your house, anybody that makes the decision to step forward with the purchase, decides that this is the one. And sometimes it's really impossible to narrow those lists down, but just having a simple conversation, if this is the only property that they have under contract, or how do they feel about this particular home? Do they see any reasons to back out? Could go a long way, because it could often convey the level of energy that's involved in that purchase, and your highest offer sometimes isn't your best offer. So as a seller, you have to be cautious with that. And a word of advice to the buyers: doing so, creating these multiple offer situations where you're just offering just to offer, and then when multiple offers get accepted, you have to realize that unless you're planning on buying 3 houses, it's best not to offer on 3 houses. Black Space Gaming, hey man, weather is great. It was actually in the 60s today. We're quite excited that the weather is starting to get back to where Southern Utah normally is during this time of the year. So if you're thinking about buying in this market, there are a couple numbers that are important as well to give you a realistic idea of what's possible. So current median sale price in Washington County is at $404,000. So meaning that the average property in that price range is what you could expect, like your 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garage. Although 3-car garage is becoming more of a standard, but that's kind of what your money can afford here. New construction is becoming a little bit more challenging / interesting, because a lot of builders, in order to anticipate building costs, are not taking onto pre-solds, like especially in that price range. If you're building something on the higher end, that's a little bit more custom, you may be able to find a builder. And we do work with several builders that still take custom builds, but usually the budgets for those builds are substantially higher than the median sale price. Is it possible to find new construction in that price range, something between 400 and 450? Absolutely. However, in the past, you could still customize those homes, and now most of them are just being put on the market as spec houses, meaning less work for the builder, fewer options for the buyer, and an overall more streamlined process that just allows for fewer changes and a quicker turnaround. But most builders have a pretty good pulse on the market, pretty good pulse on what people like. So you'll end up with beautiful countertops, nice flooring, and overall a nice livable home. So the spec houses aren't built with just basic materials with most builders. Let's just take a look at the market. So if we look at January, in January we saw a total number of 40 listings that sold in that median price range between 400 and 450,000. And we saw just 18 new listings that hit the market. It seems like often there are about 5 buyers for every listing on this market that we're currently seeing. And the buyer confidence is still really high because we're seeing really low interest rates. And even though the prices on average are lifting by 10 to 15% month over month, it seems like, as the inventory goes down and the prices go up, right now is still possibly the greatest time to purchase a home, because from a mortgage perspective, if you're able to borrow money at 2.5%, even though the prices are higher, the same monthly payment is able to afford you a lot more home. So if we look at the total number, grand total number of listings that went under contract in January of 2021, it was 469, which is a 15% increase from 2020. So I would say if you're thinking about competing in this market and you're ready to purchase something, it is a good idea to be prepared to enter a territory that's highly dictated by the seller, but at the same time, a reasonable buyer with an offer that accommodates the seller can still come in. And on average, I would say expect to pay 5 to 10 over asking for a successful offer. We still get a lot of questions from buyers that are thinking about submitting an offer below asking or asking for something that grants them more accommodations, any form of repairs or credits on the seller side. But given the number of buyers, that doesn't happen very often. What's all this talk about the weather in the comments? We're 60 degrees warmer than last week, which puts 32 degrees 3 months away from 100 degrees and humid. Wasn't your website? Yeah, it's kind of crazy how. Hi Peggy, how are you? It's kind of crazy how much the temperature changes. We were fortunate enough to be able to find a few days to go skiing up in Bryan Head and then snowmobiling a day later. And the crazy thing about living in southern Utah is in the same day, like literally in the same day, you could start your day up at Bryan Head and see single-digit temperatures, enjoy the snow, go down the slopes, go skiing, snowmobiling, do all the winter stuff, which for me personally, right after I get out of my system, it gets really old and I don't want to deal with it. So less than an hour drive from Bryan Head to St. George, and you go back to the temperatures that are suitable to just enjoy an afternoon by your house. Carrie, we could definitely make it happen. That's what we're here for. So yeah, the temperature changes, and luckily to the point above the humidity, that is not something that we ever suffer from here in southern Utah. Luckily, it's pretty nice and dry most of the year here, which dryness actually makes cooler temperatures a lot colder, or maybe I'm just a wimp because it seems like if the temperatures drop below 60, I feel like in a less humid climate, it actually feels a lot colder. I find myself in a predicament where it's really hard to track where I left off as I try to address all the questions in the comments. So from the inventory standpoint, we're looking at one of our lower months, like January 21 versus January 2020. We went down by 2 months of supply, which is like a 72% drop in inventory overall. We saw an average median sale price increase by nearly 30% year over year, because January of last year were just 309,000, and things are moving about 72% faster, because last January the median days in the market was at about 37, and this January we're down to just 10. Our home's cheaper outside of St. George. We don't want to move close to the cold, and we're looking for a place in our budget. Black Space Gaming, it really, really depends on how you feel about the temperature. And that's a great question, by the way. So based on what I was telling you earlier, Southern Utah, the St. George and Washington County, like the immediate surroundings within 15 to 20 minute drive, we're kind of in the bowl. We're sitting at 25 to about 2,700 feet above sea level. As you go further north, west, or south, you're kind of in the corner. So you start to cut into the Arizona-Nevada border. And if you go further north, you're starting to climb in elevation considerably. So to answer your question, if you are okay with having a real winter or having snow on the ground for a few months, you could go as far as Cedar City and start to see a little bit more for your money in terms of real estate. But then again, the climate is slightly different. So if you're moving here for the sake of just having a really mild climate and you want to stay within Washington County, prices around St. George area are pretty similar, pretty comparable. We used to see a little bit more bang for the buck out in like Hurricane and Lavercan area. It's spelled hurricane for those of you that don't know, pronounced hurricane. One of those local things, kind of like Louisville, Kentucky. So to answer your question, yes, you could find slightly better value for the money if you step a little bit outside of Washington County, but you're in that territory where you could get a little bit more acreage and not necessarily a newer house, but at the same time you have to weigh out the pros and cons of having a winter and snow and dealing with it. Washington County News Station, nice stream, buddy. Thanks, Marshall. I appreciate your support. Thank you for tuning in. Trying to see if I could give you guys an idea of what's on the market right now. So if I go on our local MLS and search for all available listings, and we include everything: single family, multifamily, townhomes, and single family residences. There are currently 344 active listings. That's across all price ranges. If we filter it to just single family residences only, we're just 272, which around this time last month, I think it's actually a slight increase because we were hovering in low 200s for a while. Jason is asking us, our house is above median, like 550 to 650 range, experiencing the same type of sales where you need to offer above asking? It's a great question, Jason. I feel like pretty much everything under about $1.5 million is receiving multiple offers in this market, because depending on the type of the property. So what we're starting to see is some of the homes that need a little bit of love, something that's still priced really high towards the very peak, because most seller confidence is at all-time highest, and most sellers feel like they could sell just about anything and just name a price for it. So homes that need a little bit of love and that are not 100% perfect usually end up being a position where you could just submit an offer. You don't have to necessarily go over asking, and as long as they're priced already kind of in line with where they need to be. But if it's a beautiful property and everybody wants it, it seems like there is really no limit to where you could run into this multiple offer situation. Northern Utah seems to be even worse. In the price ranges all the way up to about $1 million. I'm hearing stories from other fellow realtors that are telling me they're offering 75 grand over asking, and they're still getting bid out in multiple offer situations. And to give you a more detailed answer to that question, so if we look at last month between 550 and 650, so a total number, so it breaks it down a little bit higher. So between 500 and 750, there was a total number of 80 listings that were sold and 84 listings that hit the market. So you're definitely starting to see more listings, but realistically, that's that sweet price range where you're looking at larger homes, homes with RV garages, homes with casitas, something in about a 3,500 square foot range. And it seems like a lot of our clients, that's kind of what they're after. So the volume of buyers definitely proportionally increases along with that. And with current interest rates and mortgage availability to most people, it seems like the buyer pool in that segment is also pretty high. I think it's the matter of just having your eye on the market and just seeing what you really like. Sometimes it's the matter of keeping an eye on things because you can't have the FOMO in any price range, because if you're putting out offers and stuff just to have something under contract, that concept could go wrong, because there's nothing worse than buyer's remorse when purchasing a piece of real estate. So just kind of observing things for a little while just to see what your money could buy, and maybe even reaching out to me. I could run some analysis on what your money could buy in that specific price range. So then you could go into it with an educated decision, and you'd be surprised how quickly you could tell when the timing is right, when you should really go aggressive over asking, or if something looks like there could be a little bit of room. But I would say there's still a decent amount of competition in that price range. Mac Bob, love your channel. Quick question. Most houses are built on slab, right? Do the floors get cold in the winter? Mac, that's a great question. So Southern Utah in general, most people don't even winterize their sprinklers. I'm maybe one of those crazy people. My neighbor knew a lot more about the sprinkler systems and things of that nature, so I usually just followed his advice. You can't go wrong if you have a great neighbor that knows what they're actually doing. So the ground never gets extremely cold. Our current house that I'm in right now has LVP flooring over slab on grade, and I don't notice that the floors are really cold. We used to have tile prior to that, and that's actually a preference for our family because we have full bulldogs. And if you have, and also some houses offer sealed concrete option. So it's going to feel a little bit cooler than something that has carpet over it, but slab on grade as a whole, I don't feel that it has a huge impact on cooling the house. And most of the winter here, you may see high 20s, low 30s overnight, and middle of the day, you're typically looking at about 60s. So the ground doesn't really get a chance. As soon as the sun comes up, everything kind of stabilizes. Black Space Gaming, are mobile homes relatively kept up with well in that region? Would prefer a normal house, but we understand the market versus income versus credit. Yes, you could find some really nice mobile homes that are upkept well and are nice communities, but we're starting to see an interesting trend. Anything that's stick built or anything that's in a nice community, and the mobile home communities often have high HOAs. But I think to break into that market for anything that's decent, that would be well upcapped and wouldn't need any crazy maintenance or repairs, I think 240, 250 is probably kind of the entry point for that now. Did I get back to everybody? Well, folks, I don't want to bore you to death. If you have any more specific questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below this video. I'm going to sign out so I could finally finish editing the rest of the parade of homes videos so I could share them with you. And of course, my contact information is in the description below this video as well. So if you're even remotely thinking about moving to Southern Utah, I would love to be of service to you. If you have any more in-depth questions that are specific to your situation, of course, I'm happy to answer them. I'm just a text or a phone call away. Let me say my goodbyes. Oh, people are still saying hi to Michon. Hi, Michon. Black Space Gaming, of course. Thank you. Thank you for all the love and support. Oh yeah, Marshall's got the right idea. If you guys don't mind, if you found this useful and if you're still watching it, just give this video a thumbs up so that YouTube algorithm can get this out to more people so that more people could hopefully benefit from finding this information and using it as a resource, because making a purchasing decision in any real estate market is just a few numbers away from fully understanding what you're getting yourself into and if it's a great deal or if it's a good time to wait for a better opportunity to come up. Oh, Peggy has a question. Peggy, I'm so sorry to skip over your question. I see it now. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but do you think the limited supply of homes continue through 2021? Peggy, crystal ball is off for repairs again. And with a broken crystal ball, it is so hard to tell what's going to happen in 2021 as far as the supply is concerned. But here's just a couple of my thoughts, and global economy, local economy, politics, and all sorts of other variables. And I hate to use the term unprecedented events, which is being so overused right now, but that's creating kind of a strange situation. I personally feel that based on everything that we see in Southern Utah, is majority of people that are moving here from other states were able to sell high, and they're able to put a decent amount of equity in purchasing their homes or often buying homes with cash. That creates market security from a standpoint of what if anything happens to the economy. So there's the sense of security for anybody that's buying here right now, just knowing that and knowing that you're able to have your investment, which, you know, arguably, don't quote me on investment strategies, investing into real estate, Bitcoin, or the stock market is often a risk. And if you're strategic about it, you could make some money, but often you could lose some money and nothing is guaranteed. However, given everything that we're seeing with the stock market and cryptocurrencies and anything else, we're starting to see more demand from those that are looking at just parking their cash in real estate and purchasing cash flowing properties, building second homes, vacation homes. I'm starting to see more and more people getting curious about that and making more long-term investments. So I think that will continue the demand and keep the inventory short. And also, most builders currently, and for instance, as I was mentioning earlier in this video, if you're looking at building a home in, let's say, mid 400s, like 430, 450 could be a break-in, like entry level, where you could get into a new construction if you're looking for like a median-sized home with, you know, 3-bed, 2-bath with a 2-car garage in an okay neighborhood. In the past, you could have that house built on a lot that you select with certain upgrades, and the builder would go through the entire process. In early 2021, after speaking to several builders, I discovered that most builders now prefer to just build spec houses because they started the year with over 100, 130 build jobs. And essentially, in order for them to stay on their schedule, they would have to start a new build every 3 days. So majority of the builders are overwhelmed, which means that our market is not going to see a crazy inflow of inventory that's just going to overwhelm it from new construction. The second challenge is availability of land and lots, which that's been going down progressively too as the cost of development is up, and a lot of sellers are thinking that it may be a good place to park your money. If you own a bunch of lots in a desirable area or undeveloped land, it could only go up. It won't depreciate. So that creates a constraint of its own. So in short, to answer your question, without a crystal ball, I think that it would take some substantial turmoil for the market to really change drastically. But at the same time, there's a reasonable concern with how long can the market continue to climb without leveling off. We may be due for an adjustment, but it would be as much of a guess for me, I guess, to try to determine what exactly would cause for the adjustment to happen. I think it would have to be a pretty global shake-up in economy in order for things to get a little bit challenging here. Now, looking at the rest of the country, looking at larger metro areas, things still don't really make sense because everything everywhere is selling super fast and the markets look very, very strong. But I think if we start to see a decline in values or any kind of slowdown, we'll probably see it in larger metro areas first, and then there will be pockets throughout the US of those highly desirable areas with great mild climates and overall cleanliness and safety. I think that these pockets will continue to maintain their value, as we don't know what the future holds for our country, but it seems like COVID inspired a lot of relocations with people able to work remotely, and just overall a lot more and more people are leaving big cities and looking for places that are similar to St. George. Sorry, who else's questions did I miss? Backspace Gaming, is there any baseball players there? Example, high school and colleges will love baseball. Yes, there's a decent amount of baseball, high school tournaments, colleges. It seems like, Michon and I manage Airbnb rentals as well, and it seems like almost every other weekend there's some form of baseball, basketball, or volleyball or soccer tournaments that are happening here. Michon and I don't have any kids. We just have 2 bulldogs, so we're not 100% up to date on all the schedules. But as far as the spectator sports go, there's a decent amount of that that's going on. Peggy, you're most welcome. I'm glad that I was able to hopefully share my insights. And thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. All right, friends, I appreciate all of your love and support. Thank you so much for keeping me company here and tuning in today. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, make sure to do so. And I am off to edit some videos for the Parade of Homes. I will see you all in the next one.